Manchester United may be on the verge of signing one of the weirdest players in Europe right now, but one that could be a stroke of genius and a bit of a cheat code for him this year. If I showed you these 5 heat maps with no context at all, you'd think I was showing you 5 different players who play in completely different positions. And you'd be kind of right, it is different positions, but you'd be wrong because Ferdi Kadıoğlu is possibly one of the most accidentally versatile players in world football. And whilst being versatile is one thing, the more you watch him, the more you appreciate how talented he is and how he may be the first of many to become a 10-position player. Because listen to this, he's only 24 years old, he's played over 285 matches, and he's played in 10 different positions. So I ain't lying! How on earth did this happen? Well, let me explain. At the age of 16, he made his professional debut for Dutch side NEC in 2016. He broke through as a left winger, the position that everybody expected him to play. So, how the hell did he end up playing in a further 9 positions? After a bright start as a 16-year-old, he essentially forced his way into the team in any position that he could find available, or more importantly, any way that they could get him into the team, because he obviously had something. And this is where he started playing on the right wing, and he popped up in this position here. And what he went on to do made everyone even more confused for such a youngster, but I guess that's why he was in the team in the first place. He picked up the ball in zone 14, and then he did this. He absolutely walloped from here a cracking goal. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Wallop. Can we see the ball? Can we see the ball? It's there. So that answers the questions of why he was thought highly of as a forward, but it doesn't explain why Manchester United are interested in Kadıoğlu as a left-back. In 2018, Kadıoğlu moves to Fenerbahce, but he struggles. He struggles to get in the first team, and he's essentially generally playing under 21 matches. But he started to break down the doors, and the following season he began being included in the first team squad with one question still kind of hovering above his head. What position are you? He played 23 times for Fenerbahce in the 1920 season, playing a total of 5 different positions in that one. But out of those 23 appearances, only one of which could truly have a bearing on his career moving forward. And that, of course, was that appearance at left back. This came in a game where club captain Hasan Kaldirim was substituted and Fenerbahce were chasing the game. Kadıoğlu popped up with an assist in the 96th minute to win the game 3-2 in his very first appearance in that left back slot. Now, despite this game happening in December 2020, his next left-back appearance wouldn't come until January 2022 because people still weren't sure what he was. So during 2022, he started to become recognised in Turkey as one of the best left-backs in the league. But how did a player who's predominantly right-footed manage to do this? So here's a moment from a game against Göztepe. In a position like this, I think we're all thinking, if you're, let's use Kieran Trippier as an example, as he's at the forefront of our minds over the last few months, you think he's maybe coming back, he's going to start again, maybe he's trying to play a simple pass here, or maybe he's going to look to just put that cross in quickly. Might look to do that. Those are his 3 options, it feels like. But he's naturally a lot more creative as a player than a defender, than, one of those out-and-out defenders, which means that he's got fantastic technical ability, but more importantly, vision. Vision to be able to play really smart, clever passes, and well-weighted passes as well, into the half spaces. And this is a great example of that. He sees the run of the midfielder and plays a very delicate ball to a very dangerous position, doing something that little bit different, which again, in modern football, to see something different and to play it, to understand the game and then to have that vision is a huge, huge plus for a right-footed left-back. Because I think if we go back, what you can see here is that when he has got the ball from a defensive point of view, that pass there into that area is just not the picture that defenders generally think they're going to see. And that added bit of spice as a player, I think, is a great thing from an attacking point of view. Having someone who's just that little bit different, who sees it different, who sees different spaces, and has the ability to play those weighted passes is a massive plus if you're going to get Kadıoğlu in your side. Also, with that specific example, it allows you to target the half spaces, engineer cutbacks, and those cutbacks, how many times have we seen that with a team like Man City, for example? You get to that position with control, but on the byline, inside the box, that's a very dangerous place. And it leads to tap-ins and just lots and lots of goals, right? And allows for you to flood the box and get those players in there as well. But I appreciate the reservations will continue to be there for a right-footed left-back. And I think the big thing is that you think that you're going to struggle in these areas here. You think there's going to be a big old struggle to sort of utilise this area, which again is something that we saw with Kieran Trippier. But you see something different with a player like Kadıoğlu. Because the bottom line is that due to this kind of weird skill set, and we're going to show you a goal as well, he gets into very new positions and positions that, again, you're not expecting a right-footed left-back to be in. And let's be honest, I'm not even sure if he is out and out as a right-back. Because if we let this play on, what you'll see is that he is happy to go there. He's happy to go there, and he's happy to put in that first-time cross. So instead of being here, you think, okay, he might come wide and then come back. No, he's happy to go there, and he's happy to play that first-time cross. And then the picture's a bit dodgy here, but he's able to get that header on. So it's quality as well with that left foot that he is able to provide for the team. And the more you watch of Kadıoğlu, the more you get confused as to which foot was his dominant foot. The fact that he's competent with both feet means that you get the best of both worlds. And in that corner of the pitch, and just generally being able to stretch the pitch as wide as possible, it is again a reason as to why he ending up as a left back, but also has played at right back so competently. Now let's talk about the Euros. Of course, Turkey did well, but the constant question asked about a winger turned fullback is whether they can defend or not. Well, I can assure you that Kadıoğlu is aggressive, assured overall, although I do feel like there are some question marks that maybe in the Premier League with time, not found out, but exposed at times, could be something that happens. But what I do say on this channel a lot of the time is that defending is an attitude. And from that point of view, he's got a great attitude. He is incredibly tenacious off the ball. There's two moments that we're going to show you from Euro 2024 with Kadıoğlu at Turkey. And there's two ways of looking at it from a defensive perspective when it comes to Kadıoğlu. Either he's a good, aggressive defender, or he overcommits at times. And this is an example of what I mean. So Kadıoğlu is right here. And, you know, he could come back. He could get back. He could play safe. But instead of backing off, which is what probably a lot of experienced defenders would do, because if the ball's in front of you, you're okay. He doesn't do that. He goes for the ball and he goes to try and win it. Now, he does win it. We'll move it on. He does win it, but he has a bit of cover in behind, which helps him a little bit. And also, the other thing I'd love to show you is the fact that he's just a touch jammy in how he wins it. He nearly gets done. He does commit very heavily. He's trying to use that touch line as another defender, which again is fine. It's solid coaching and the right idea. But he does nearly get done, and I think against a different defender who is a bit more, a different attacker who's a bit more dramatic in what they do, I think maybe it's a foul that he gives away as well. And if we move it along, we'll see a little bit more of that in terms of a different example, this time against Portugal. But what, again, the good side of it is he is tenacious, he is committed, he is athletic, he is assertive. And I think you can see that hugely here with his body language. He's on his way. The rest of the players are kind of standing still. There's not an overall press from them, and they're clearly working down the side here, Portugal. But he is ready to go. And he does. He does exactly that. He wants to use that touchline. He wants to affect the game. And look, he's on his way. And he wants to get there. And he does. He gets there. He does get there. But again, I'm going to say the same thing. It was tight. It's a similar thing. I've zoomed right in here. And you can see Cancelo has the tiniest of looks. Kind of knows he's on his way. Again, it's good that he's getting at him, but there's a huge element of fortune there. And you can see in terms of Cancelo's body language, he thought he had him there. So again, when it comes to the Premier League, if he's going to be like that, there will be some moments. Because if he doesn't win it, especially as a left-back, that is an important player completely taken out, and it makes it very, very dangerous against them. But as much as that is something that could get found out, quite possibly, if you think of him being that attacking left-back in a back four, an elbow back four, where you've got three other defenders. Let's talk about Arsenal, for example, where you have that guy in Ben White who's happy to kind of get back and become that three, and a left-sided centre-back who's comfortable making his way over to that left-hand side. Then you do have a bit of a plan for that allows him to be aggressive. And again, it's with the midfield, understanding that when it goes over that side, he's going. So it's about the team working with him as well. So why is he weird? That's the question, isn't it? What we're about to show you next is the most weird thing about him. And weird in a great sense, right? How uncharacteristic that he is. And I think that's great when we're seeing players being more and more like robots. Is these little guys who are just that little bit different. They're really, really good fun. So let's have a look at this. And what's great about this is that's a football. That's a football in the air, and it's a switch pass that's about to make its way to Kadıoğlu. Kadıoğlu's got his eye on the ball, okay? And if we move it along, which of course from the last bit here, that ball's in the air. And you see here a moment when he receives the ball. He receives that ball with that left foot of his. And I think most left backs and most left-footed left backs would have their head up. They'd be looking to drive into the space in front of them, but not Kadıoğlu. Instead, he takes it down with his left and supposed weaker foot, even without looking really at the ball, if we're honest. And he's actually looking at Bernardo Silva, and he does something fantastic there. Whereas instead of just going down that channel, playing simple pass down that channel, he goes in. He makes his way in, and he attacks and targets that space. And it makes him very, very hard to win the ball off. And it makes him quite press-proof as well, because, again, if you use that kind of Trippier mindset of that kind of player on the right and on the left-hand side, who's right-footed, in terms of where the space is to drive, it is that way. It is to play back inside. And the only way of winning the ball from him in these areas would be to commit two players on him. And no side, I don't think, is willing to do that, especially when the game is going to be stretched with those kind of switches as well. So expect to see this from Kadıoğlu if he was to move to the Premier League as well, is that look for that switch to him starting out wide, and it making very difficult for the opposition, because you've got a player here who's willing to both look up and be positive, have that vision, but also to drive with the ball and then look for those switches, which, again, when you sort of do a double switch, then you're really, really setting yourself up for success and, importantly, space. So he can be incredibly useful in that first phase of play in terms of getting their way up the pitch, making the pitch bigger as well. But in that final phase as well, he's got something, again, that others don't. And he's turned a weakness into a strength and gets into these really lovely, unique areas. So here we go. This is a clip that, I had to go and check that if he was playing left back in this game. And he was. It's a game between Germany and Turkey last year. And it's because of what happens next. So Bardacci is in possession here. He's got the ball. Let me get rid of that. He's got the ball here, and he's about to make a long pass. So left back, right? That's Kadıoğlu. Wrong. You got it wrong. Aha. Number 16 is not Kadıoğlu. He's out of shot. That's the left-sided centre midfielder. So where is Kadıoğlu? If we move it along, it's one pass, and look where he is. Good grief. He's made a run. He's made a run into this lovely space here. Why is he not getting picked up? The ability to sort of drive in behind, that's so important these days. These players can play those passes, and we've lost those passes a little bit. And it is, it's a great pass as well. But to get in, and what I really like about this is two things. First of all, how's he got here and how's he stolen that march on him? I was wondering that, and I'll show you exactly why, because there's another angle. But the other thing is, once he gets that touch, what's great is you've got a player here who will cut across this defender and make them absolutely obsolete. Andy Cole was really good at this. He would get across the defender, and then it's over. There's nothing you can do. And by going across him, if he goes across him and he's left-footed, he's going to have to finish with his right foot, and he's maybe not confident in doing that. But Kadıoğlu, of course, as we know, is right-footed. So he then is able to get the ball, and what he does next is just brilliant. Great touch, knows he wants to get in behind, is able to do that, come onto that right foot, and now he's just got so many options. If it is a left-footer here, you can't do that Thierry Henry curl, or you've got both options. And he uses, actually, he meets in the middle with a huapapa in the top left-hand corner, which kind of calls the bluff of Neuer, I think it is in this one, who would probably think they would go to that bottom corner. So to have a left-back to get into those positions and then feel comfortable on their stronger foot is really, really clever. But how did he do it? Well, he did it brilliantly, and curled a run that, again, I just don't think you're going to see very often. Here he is. Nice and wide, like so wide. So the defender thinks he's fine, thinks he's absolutely fine. And again, I think with that kind of player as well, he thinks, look, if he gets the ball and he drives, at least he's going to be probably using his right foot. Generally, he can show him to the byline. If he gets a cross in, at least it's on his weaker foot. You think that's enough. He thinks he's okay. And of course, he's in a lovely line as well. in terms of that back four. So all's well, right? But the reason he's able to do it is because this lovely curved run. So another thing to keep an eye out from an attacking point of view. He's so fun. Is he starts there and then he actually makes a little push. The defender obviously sees him, but the bend of that run means that he's in front of him, and that defender, I think is Sane, is finished. This player has been completely taken out of position, and as we know, he's able to make his way in and score a goal. Really, really beautiful bending runs from someone with both the, as I said, from a defensive point of view, the tenacity, but from an offensive point of view, just that natural movement, exciting, creative movement that gets him into great positions. So the guy's different. He's unique. He's not normal. What he may lack in defensive positioning, you get it back tenfold in his ambiguous style of attack.